Everyone around you seems to know something you don't, like there is a shared understanding and no one told you what it was. Have you ever felt like someone else was tuned to the same radio station and you were picking up something completely different? And at some point someone notices and they looked at you like you are the problem? So in this video, I want to show you why creative people can't follow normal advice and what that actually says about how you're wired. Because a creative mind never just takes the answers and move on. It pulls the thread and it asks next question and the next one and the one after that. And once you understand why, everything starts to make a different kind of sense. Let me show you from the inside what it looks like. There are two ways of being creative. You can decide to be creative. When you decide to be creative, it's something you put on, something you can also take off. Or it chooses you. And when it chooses you, it's an identity. There is no day without it, even the difficult one, even days when it costs you everything. I began to create because I had no choice, and I didn't even know it was happening. The fact of not knowing, that's where everything began. You know, when people say to you, you are always in the cloud, you're a dreamer, they were saying it as a kind of an insult. But I felt better up there than on earth. And that feeling, that's exactly where the answer lives. And I would like to show you what I mean by that. The cloud was my little world, my little possible, as I like to call it. And it starts when you're a child, before you even have a name for it. In that cloud, at least in my cloud, there were staircases going everywhere. Solution, direction, possibilities, all at once. And I was the only one who could see it. Nobody else could come in. So my work later on was to bring what was in my cloud to them, like a bridge, like a translation. And when someone hires you, a brand, a client, someone, everyone, anyone, that's what they are really asking for. They want your world applied to theirs, your eyes on their vision. That's the only thing you have that nobody else can give them. It's like when you are a kid and you wanted to show your best friend your collection, you are opening a world to that person. That is what a creative does. You open your own world. At 17, the life my family wanted for me and the life I needed to live had nothing in common, so I left to make it short. I grabbed my instrument and played in the street. It's not very pleasant to say, but I begged. The city where I played was far from where my parents lived, far enough that I couldn't go one night when it was too cold. It was a real decision, a point of no return. I was sleeping in a dormitory with 25 people, paying for my bed, paying for food. Someday I had to choose between sleeping and eating. Even with that, I was happy with my choice. For the first time, I was really taking care of it. You know what's strange? When I think about it, my creativity came from a constraint. What was supposed to stop me was exactly what started everything. And then something happened that taught me even more about what it means to work inside a frame. A few months later, I met a band, quite a famous one in France. They heard me play and asked me if I wanted to go with them. I had no house, I had nothing, so I said yes. Every day, 3 to 4 hours of repetition. Every day playing the same thing again and again, just to repeat it and make it better. Normally, that would annoyed me so much, playing the same thing again and again and again, but I was enjoying it. And because I was enjoying it, the repetition stopped existing. The confinement of the structure didn't bother me. It was there, but I didn't feel it because what I was doing inside it, that's what I loved completely. The possible is louder than the reasonable. It always has been. But at some point, even that wasn't enough. And this is where it's getting interesting. At some point, music wasn't enough anymore. My ambition had grown bigger than what my instrument could hold. With a solo instrument, you can add, you can bring value, you can decorate what's happening or what's existing. You can't compose everything around you. You can't invent the whole world. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to compose. So I moved towards more. I went into fashion. I didn't know how to design. I had no training, no instruction manual, but I found a way to express myself again. A new territory, a new bridge to build. That's what happens when you are addicted to what's possible. When one world becomes too small, you find another one. And each time you do, people around you don't understand necessarily. They say that you start over. They say that you're losing what you built. They say you're making it complicated. But how I see it as leading. David Bowie says something that I always kept with me, and I'm going to read it to you because I want to say exactly what he says. Always remember that the reason you initially started working was that there was something inside yourself that you felt that if you could manifest it in some way, you would understand more about yourself and how to coexist with the rest of the society. So why can't creative people follow normal advice? Look at my life. Every time I stop following and start leading, something open. The street, the band, the fashion. Each time a new world. And there are many more stories about new creative world. I can't give them all to you. I would bore you. They will come one video at a time. But let me tell you about some things that I saw when I was working at Etro. Talented people, real talented people. And they were so scared of how the family could act that you couldn't say what you were actually thinking. Someone of the family would propose a color. They would say, yes, it's very nice. Someone else would propose the opposite. They still would say, yes, that's much better. The owner was so terrifying to everyone that you only have two choices. You either didn't care about what happened to you and you could be creative, or you became the most diplomatic person in the room in every sense of the word, every single day. Always agreeing, always making sure that they were the right person doing the right thing. It's not a judgment. It's just two paths side by side. They had the talent, and somewhere along the way they stopped leading. At 17, I had almost nothing when I start, and I was happy. And here is what I want to ask you now. Sit with this for 1 second. When was the last time you said what you were actually thinking? The thing you kept to yourself because you didn't want to be the bad guy? And I know what some of you are thinking right now. That's a nice story, Mark, but you were 17 and you had nothing to lose. I have a job. I have a family. I have a mortgage. I can't just leave everything and play in the street. Don't worry, I hear you. And I'm not telling you or asking you to do so. You don't have to jump into the whole entire cloud. You just have to pick up possibilities, one, and work on that one without leaving your job, without changing anything yet. And if that one doesn't feel right because of the constraint, you find another one. You're creative, no? You're not missing ideas. I worked with someone recently, a designer, very established, good career, who felt exactly this. Too much to lose. So we didn't start with a big move. We start with one project, something small enough to hold in one hand. And within 3 months, that project had become the thing she talks about with more energy than anything else in her work. She didn't leave her job. She just found her cloud again. If you want, I'm here to walk alongside you in that, to look at that one project with you, to find out if it's the right one. And if it's not, to find another one until you're smiling at what you are doing, until you're smiling at what's happening around you. I want to go back to something I said at the beginning of this video. addicted to what's possible. Everything has a frame, everything has a border that never changes. And when you love what you are doing, the border becomes bearable. Sometimes it's become invisible, and sometimes it's become part of the pleasure itself. I was 17 when I understood that nobody was going to give me the life I wanted. I had to take it because there was no other option. Now it's my frame. And what I want to leave you with is something very simple. In the cloud, you are in conversation with your hope. You are looking at it, and when you find the part of your hope that can be made real, that's the possible. That's the moment the cloud becomes something you can build from. To make hope concrete, that is possible, one possible at a time. Have you ever felt like everyone else was tuned to the same radio station and you were picking up something completely different? You were never on the wrong radio station. You were just picking up something else, something that was yours. Take it lightly. There is no drama in it, no urgency. Just look around you with that in mind, and things might start to look a little bit different. Don't repair your circus, but sell the tickets. If you watch until here, you already know that what you're carrying is not a problem to fix. It's a direction to find, and if that direction feels too heavy, too complicated to find alone, bring it to me. We'll look at it together, and we will find a way to transform it into something you actually enjoy. But finding the direction alone is only part of it. The harder part is knowing what's getting in the way. And most creative can't see that clearly from the inside. That's what the work is. And if you want to do that work with someone who has lived it and not only study it, the link to book a call with me is in the description below. We will start with one possibility and go from there.